Hey guys, it's me here. It's gonna be my first video on YouTube, but today I woke up and I saw this video and I was quite mad. I was quite angry. I wasn't mad or angry. I was just a bit confused and scared. I felt a certain magnetism, a certain fate, a calling in a sense to address this. I mean, this is quite the devious lick I'm seeing here. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys the video I'm referring to. I'll link it in the description, the YouTuber whom of which I found it from. But let's go ahead and play it right quick. Yes, we're seeing here, we have a lot of men here. Looks like a bunch of little boys in my opinion, but yeah. So the first thing I made sure to do was to make sure I wasn't kidding myself here. Check the view count, the like count, the comments. Okay, I mean the profile that I'm talking about has probably about hundreds of thousands of subscribers. So this isn't like some small niche group of people on the internet. This is the mass, the herd, the normies, if you want to say that. You got 100,000, 200,000, about to get 200,000 likes here. You can go to the TikTok account. Yeah, in total 30 million likes, 300,000 followers. This is a one of many, and there's a lot of other videos here that I will come back to. I will requite of, but the first thing I saw here was the impotency of the men. And by impotency, I mean usually when people refer to what women like, it's usually someone that's physically competent. Physically competent in the sense that they still retain attractiveness. Fuck here, let me turn off my Telegram real fast. I'm getting a lot of notifications here. Taking a sip of my water. But they're physically impotent in the sense. Oh, I wasn't talking about that yet. Fuck, what was I talking about? God damn it. I think I was talking about how women are attracted to male potency. Yeah. But in the sense that they retain their attractiveness. So what women find attractive? So usually tall, athletic, probably around 15 to 8% body fat, maybe, And I think all these men kind of have that in common, right? So let's look here again. Oh wait, hold on, I gotta replay it real fast. Like I said, we have a visible jawline, a bit of vascularity on the hands and neck and whatnot, But this is scary. Like, this is not supposed to be happening. I mean, you can look at most of these men and they have this thing in common, like their neck to jaw ratio, the overall circumference and radius of their neck is just very small. These are very weak and impotent men that can't even do a couple pull-ups, bench the bar and whatnot. Press their body weight off the ground more than 30 to 40 times. All right. Now I won't lie. Strength. You can be skinny and strong, I suppose. But only to some extent, right? Muscle mass doesn't inherently mean strength, but usually we do tend to associate that with strength. Like, if you see some fucking loser here, like, let's just go to the next guy. Look at this individual. Do you think this guy is gonna, perform some preternatural feat of strength that is gonna shock you? I don't think so. Let's go to the next one here. Number 9. This guy in particular. some of these men, I actually thought they were women, right? And this seems to be very popular these days. Women will refer to them as feminine men. I've seen this a couple times. But we tend to have men and women tend to have different definitions as to what feminine actually is, right? I'm thinking in a more hormone sense. I'm thinking a bit more rationally and logically feminine. I'm thinking of feminine hormones such as, estrogen or estradiol. I don't know the exact term. Cortisol and whatnot. That's what I'm thinking when I think feminine. When I think feminine, I think of feminine traits that are for women only, right? Things that you would use to perhaps identify a female. What makes a woman? How can you identify a woman? Well, very long hair. Well, long hair doesn't necessarily have to be feminine, but usually if you're clean shaven and you have long hair, you tend to get mistaken as a woman. I mean, I speak from experience when I was in probably 8th, 7th grade, when I was 13 and 12, I had very long, sort of ungroomed hair, and of course I didn't have a beard or a mustache or any stubble or anything like that, and my face, again, wasn't developed. I was just hitting puberty, and like I said, first day of school, I went to a new school, and I got mistaken for a woman a lot of times. It was quite prevalent. Okay, this mistake. People were, they would come up to me, like when the teacher would take attendance on the first day, they'd say, "Oh, I thought you were a woman." Like, people would start laughing, and it wasn't that big a deal back then. But now that I've kind of became a bit more mindful of the foreseeable consequences of maintaining such a lack of masculine prowess, especially at such an age, I'm not too fond of that. But back to what I was talking about, how I would identify a woman. So again, things that are for women only, things that happen naturally only in women. Well, not only in women, because it can happen in men too, but only in rare circumstances. Well, it's not too rare anymore. Actually, it's actually quite prevalent these days. You find this in most men. But let's talk about storing body fat, because having a high body fat is actually something that is prevalent in women. The average body fat, let's look this up. Google this real quick. Average body fat for men, probably around 20%. 8 to 19%. All right, yeah. So, I actually underestimate. It's probably around 20 now. This is probably maybe an older study, perhaps, but most men, 8 to 19%. Usually around 20, though. Like I said, or at least that's just from my experience, because I live in a country, I live in America, and it's very common for people to be overweight here. It's just, I'm pretty sure. Wait, let me look that up. What percentage of America's population is overweight? Let's Google that real fast. 30% are obese. Oh, wait. It is estimated that a little over 42% of American adults have obesity, while 30% are overweight. Two-thirds of U.S. adults in the United States are overweight or have obesity. Yeah. So maybe this is just probably accounting for maybe the entire world or most third world countries. So I'm just gonna disregard that. But back to what I was saying. Women usually tend to have a higher body fat. So in this study in particular, men should have 8 to 19%, and women should fall around from 23 to 33%, right? Because their body, they tend to store more fat, right? Because there's an abundance of womanly hormones like estrogen and cortisol in their body, which is causing them to store fat. And when women do gain fat, they tend to store them in womanly areas, as I would call them, womanly or more feminine areas, such as in their hips, and in their breasts, and in their glutes, and in their legs and thighs, right? When men tend to gain fat, it's usually in their lower stomach area and onto their legs as well. But what causes this to change is usually an abundance. It can be determined by genetics, but usually it's an abundance of estrogen that causes men to start storing fat in these feminine places, right? So when I'm thinking of a feminine man, I'm thinking of a man. Okay, well, his shirt tapers off of his love handles, and he has gynecomastia or man boobs, whatever you want to call it, and he's overweight and he's physically impotent. But when women think of a feminine man, they just think of a guy. It's usually around 10, 8 to 12, 15% body fat. Usually some like long hair, and does really strange niche things like an abundance of jewelry and necklace, and maybe might tend to paint his nails. Actually, I found that is actually quite prevalent today. Let's look at this. Let's look at a couple more of these guys. Yeah, make these strange facial expressions that usually you would find women doing these, but no, this is sort of, I don't know. Big lips as well. That actually tends to be a bit attractive with women, among women these days. But yeah, usually, like I said, when women tend to think of feminine men, they think of someone like this: 8 to 15% body fat, very prevalent and visible, strong jawline, and some silly long hairstyle, usually curly hair, but that usually covers up their forehead. Something like this. This is actually probably this is a recurring theme. You could probably look at let's look at this again. 1, covering his forehead. 2, 3, 4. Let's see, 4. Oh, he's actually wearing a hat, but that's the one that's the odd one out there. Black sheep, and ironically, it was a picture of a black guy. But let's 5. Yep, 6. 7. Okay, well, he kind of gets an exception here, but it's not like pulled back. 8. Yep, same thing going on here. 9 and 10. Yeah, so they, like I said, they have the feminine tendency to cover up their forehead. So that's another thing I've noticed, because usually that is usually associated with feminine tendencies, is covering up your forehead for some reason. I don't know, it's kind of a bro science thing, but people have talked about it before. You can go ahead and look that up, do your own research if you want to. But this is not supposed to be happening, okay? This is not supposed to be. This should not have been allowed to enter the paradigms of women. In a primordial sense, this can't be accepted. Primordially, these men would have just been wiped out, okay? The idea of the alpha male is kind of not a thing anymore, because you really think all the actual alpha males are in prison, right? Because a lot of things people tend to leave out. Like I was looking up like a couple years ago. I was looking up, researching how do I boost my testosterone, right? And I compared the modern levels to the old levels. Like people back then having 1,000 nanograms per deciliter, like a really old guy. And you look at now, you have people that are going to the gym and they're optimizing their diet. They're not drinking. They're trying to detox plastic as best as they can, but I mean, it's plastics everywhere. But they're drinking out of glass containers. They're sleeping on the floor or on a cotton sheet. They're not wearing underwear, so there's not some sort of nylon fabric touching their balls They're not touching receipts. They're storing their milk and other things in glass containers. That's what's happening, right? I'm going to take another sip of my water. And they still have these really subpar testosterone levels, right? 700, 800, 900, which is good today. But when you compare it to back then, you have people 1,000 nanograms per deciliter, 2,000 nanograms. Because what's associated with these male hormones is usually acts of violence and vengeance and things of that nature. Killing people, physically assaulting people. Environmentally, your testosterone is affected by environmental social cues. Like, let me make an example real quick. Let's say you're working a 9-to-5 job, and you're like you're working at a restaurant or something. Like you're a crew member, you just joined, right? And you have some manager who's a woman, and she's like 5'3", overweight, physically impotent. She's old, so if she's old, like 40, and she's just been working this restaurant job, you can probably assume that she's not the highest. She hasn't got too far in life. That's not to be insulting. That's just, right? Personally, if I had a wife and she was 30, 40 years old, I wouldn't prefer for her to be, working at all, let alone working, alongside all these people. But let's get back there. So do you think the guy that's taking all these orders from these people that are less potent than him, right? Less potent than him, that are weaker, that are shorter, that have less muscle mass, less body fat, because mass does move mass, and don't practice the same daily rituals and practices such as displacing heavy objects, lifting weights. I know I like to say that, but lifting weights or running or optimizing their diet or any hobby really that one could consider productive. Not like some hobby like video games that's heavily inducing in that heavily stimulates your a very cellular inducing activity. That's what I'm looking for, like sitting on your phone and like social media and playing video games and things of that nature. I'm talking about like an actual hobby, right? So that guy, or you have the other guy who's like, I don't know, drug dealer, and some guy fucking ripped him off, right? Stole his dope or beat up one of his friends, and he goes and he beats him up, right? He seeks vengeance on that individual. So this guy, he's constantly in danger, whether it be from the law enforcement or other people that are trying to steal what he has. So environmentally, his body's going to be producing more testosterone. He's going to be getting into fights. He's keeping a weapon on him at all times. A handgun of some sort, usually. Right? And he ends up in jail because, he's getting into fight. He fought someone, or he shot someone, or got into a shootout or whatever. So whose testosterone do you think is going to be higher? Right? That's the true way to boost your testosterone, you see. Right? If you're going to war, if you're in a trench fighting against an enemy, you're like I said, it kind of is like you are what you eat. But instead of that, it is you are what you do. You see, if you sit down all day and do nothing, your body knows what you're doing. Your conscious reports directly towards your subconscious mind. And it will. Let me try to reword that. Your conscious will tell your subconscious what you are doing. If you are sitting down on your bed watching Netflix for 3 to 5 hours a day, more than that, you can't just expect to include 3 to 4 meals a day and an hour of weight training and expect your body to prioritize that. It's all about your environment. If you sit down for the majority of the day, your body will not prioritize muscle growth. It will prioritize fat gain because it sees and observes that the main inconvenience in your day-to-day life is being a bit uncomfortable on the bed. So it's going to be like, okay, well, we need to go ahead and produce a nice pillowy substance such as body fat so you can lay down more conveniently, right? But if you're like in jail, perhaps you're in jail and every day you're waking up and there are gangs and whatnot and people constructing weird pointed objects trying to take your life or get you sent somewhere out of their cell block or whatever. And, you're constantly in danger in a sense, right? Your body is going to observe that. Your conscious is going to report to your subconscious, and it's going to go fucking down your spine, your nervous system, whatever, and your body's going to say, listen, we are in trouble. There's imminent danger, and we need to go ahead and start producing more manly hormones so we can go ahead and enact our primordial instinct of self-preservation so we don't end up dying. I kind of forgot what I was talking about here. Yeah, that was probably not too smart of me to go on that rant because now I kind of forgot what I was talking about here. Talking about hormones. I think I was probably talking about how these men have a lack of testosterone. How these feminine things here. This isn't good somehow. I don't know. This is not really. Primordially, this is not supposed to be happening. Okay, the real alpha males are supposed to be killing, clubbing, stoning these men to death, and erasing them from history. Okay, but that's not allowed to happen. I think that's what I was trying to say. Because all the alpha males, the true alpha males, are in prison because our government does not allow such things to happen. In this country, in I'd want to say 100% of third world countries, you probably can't go murder someone and kill someone for doing something silly. But had this been a couple hundred years ago, now I'm not too sure about that. Now, I'm not advocating for murder or the killing of anyone, but this is crazy, guys. I mean, we can't just sit here and let this happen. Like I said, we are more physically potent in a sense. You have men that are doing the self-improvement stuff. They're going one of the first couple pillars of self-improvement is that, go to the gym, work on yourself, get a six-pack or whatever, get stronger. Even people that train for aesthetics will initially get stronger. They'll have to progressive overload to build muscle. So they will get stronger. They'll get more disciplined because they're trying to go to the gym every day. So that's one of the first pillars of self-improvement is to make yourself a more physically potent individual. Because even if you're doing something like training for mere aesthetic appearance, you will get stronger mentally and physically. Right? Because people tend to associate training like bodybuilding solely with looks. Now, you won't get nearly as stronger as someone that trains specifically for strength, but you still will be stronger than the average person that does not lift weights. If you know what I mean, right? So, that's just what I'm trying to say here. The men hitherto shown obviously do not indulge in such masculine activities, such as displacing heavy objects off the ground, or even pressing themselves off the ground, moving their own body weight in space, or just for an oversimplified term, probably just body weight exercises, calisthenics, whatever you want to call it. I'm just trying to sound smart here, but this isn't supposed to be happening Somebody's got to take care of this. Somebody's got to start putting these men in their place. And it would be surprisingly easy if murder was legalized, or public shame, because public shaming isn't allowed either. The more contemporary way of doing this, of forming these social hierarchies, is public shaming. But you can't do that anymore. I turned off my Telegram a while back, but I'm pretty sure there's actually a law that just passed in Canada that you can get fined up to $25,000 for publicly shaming people that are transsexual men and women, people that identify as transgender. So like I said, the higher species will protect these marginalized minority groups solely to kind of perhaps demoralize you, put you in a bit of a crab in a bucket scenario, to enforce the crab in a bucket mentality. That's what I meant to say. But this is not supposed to be happening, okay? This is not supposed to be happening. Shouldn't happen. Not too fond of this occurring, okay? And you can see here that the paradigm of women have just been destroyed from constant social media usage. I mean, just since literally probably age 8, 7, 5. I did not get my first smartphone probably until around 13. Actually, yeah, probably 13 or 12. Right? And that's still incredibly young. That's still very young. Very young. You shouldn't have I don't think smartphones should be used at all. I mean, there are very good ethical ways for my own moral paradigm to use a smartphone, but personally, I don't think we need them. But they're kind of compulsory in the contemporary modern world. But that's just my personal opinion, okay? But I got a phone when I was 12, and I didn't start really I used it like to play games and talk with my friends and stuff. I probably wasn't scrolling on social media till I was about 14, which is still terrible, but compared to what's going on today, right? Like I said, and little kids are using this stuff because here's what's happened. You no longer need, because when we think of social media, we think of like Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and just, scrolling, things like that, scrolling from post to post. So back then, if you were 10 or 11 and you had a phone or tablet, you couldn't install Instagram because you had to go up to your mom or dad, who would usually say no. They'd say, no, man, you don't need this nonsense, you're too young for it, right? But now kids can do it, and that's with YouTube Shorts, right? Because that's what most kids do, is they watch YouTube. They have a whole app for it, YouTube Kids, but sometimes parents don't know. They just give them their phone, or they give them their own tablet, and they say, okay, go ahead, go watch YouTube. And sometimes they won't even make them their own account. They'll be under their account, so they have access to all of YouTube right there. But they'll use this YouTube Shorts, and now they can successfully. They've successfully. I'm trying to think of the word here. They've successfully created social media for kids, kind of, right? So there are many foreseeable consequences here. Not just physically, with the destruction of awareness and attention span and things of that matter. It's more of a mental thing. Your paradigm is going to be destroyed. What you think is normal, right? I mean, your parents have no hold on this. How often is this kid talking to his parents, really? I mean, you got to think about that. You have compulsory schooling, unless if your parents are homeschooling you, which I severely doubt. That's probably less than 5% of the American population. But you have compulsory schooling, so whatever your teachers want to instill onto you, they can subliminally, or they can just straight out of the pocket. They can just tell you whatever they want to say. And I doubt they'll get in trouble for it. And you have going home, and you're on your, you got your homework to do, and then, you're scrolling, like I said, let's just say this is from the perspective of maybe like a 6, 8-year-old, 9, 10-year-old, something like that, right? Because this has happened. I've seen it myself, and most people with family members that happen to have aunts or uncles or brothers and sisters with young children can probably relate to this too, right? And you're talking, so like I said, they're probably scrolling on the YouTube Shorts or Instagram. How long are they really talking with their parents? Like, let's say like your father tries to teach you something, right? And because you're talking like maybe like with your dad, if you even have a dad. That's one thing too. So like I said, you might not even have a dad. You might be in a single mother household or something of that nature. So your current guardian is talking to you about something for 30 minutes a day maybe, and the other 16, 15 and a half hours that you were just doing that, you really think that 30 minutes is going to do anything? It ain't going to do nothing, right? You're not even in control of your own kid. So your kid sees videos like this that's just enforcing this giga mega hypergamy. This is not polygamy. This is hypergamy. This is literally 0.0001% of the population. All these men are probably obscure Instagram models with probably thousands of followers. These aren't just random people that they found like from their school or something. No, this is like literally 0.0001% of the population. And to imitate this, it's I mean, you could, but why? Why would you want to imitate this? Solely for sexual attraction? Like I said, something has to be done about this. This is not, because it won't work in the long term. When you're physically impotent and all this estrogen is being mobile, every single bit of estrogen in your body is being mobilized against you, right? And your sperm is becoming deformed to the point where it can't even swim straight, so it can't fertilize the egg, and then your girlfriend has to push out a baby that's dead, right? Because your sperm is fucking deformed, and some other man like comes over and like fucking grabs your girl's ass or something, or cat calls her or whatever, right? And you can't do anything. I mean, you could whip out a gun, maybe shoot him, right? You could do that, stab him, but you're going to jail probably. Just saying. That's probably how the justice system will work. Take another sip of my water there. But yeah, it just doesn't work long term. Why would you want to aspire to be that? I don't know. It's kind of possible, I suppose. You'd have to do a bit of mewing, maybe. You have to work towards to get a certain body fat, which is probably not in the paradigm of most people, especially Americans who, again, like I said, 2/3 of American adults are overweight. So maintaining this low body fat after being overweight your whole life might be a bit challenging, right? Wouldn't you rather want to just maybe cut down to 12%, 15%, and then bulk up, get stronger, right? I'm just saying. Now the hair, yeah, fine, grow out your hair. But again, that's not going to be there forever. That's going to be gone within a couple years. I mean, like I said, again, all the estrogen in your body is being mobilized against you, and you probably have a 100 to 200 nanogram per deciliter testosterone, something like that. It's not high. These are people that are naturally skinny, probably. Naturally skinny individual, or lean, skinny, whatever you want to say. And the only reason they probably have any sort of remnants of a testosterone level is because merely from environment, maybe because they're interacting with females, perhaps. I don't know. Well, I actually played the video right there. But like I said, it's physically impotent, man. Like I said, you'd have to lean max, whatever you want to call it, and you'd have to grow out your hair, and you'd have to maybe dye it a silly little color. That's probably around it, and you'd have to maintain these really obscure and almost sort of menacing facial posture 24/7. That's about it, though. And you'd have to have a really strange sense in fashion. That too. And after that, you might be able to get a woman that might sleep with you and might decide to stay around for a couple years. Might. Like I said, there are many foreseeable consequences as a result of this. This is not okay. Should not be happening. Not too fond of this in particular. Like I said, showing this to your kid seeing this, stumbling upon this account. I mean, let's go ahead and look at some of the other videos, right? Because like I said, all these men here, this is literally the top 1% of men. You go to a high school or you go to anywhere, men don't look like this. Unless if you, like I said, again, 1% of men. 1% of men look like this. 1%. And half of these photos here aren't even real. They're fucking filters, and they're strange clothes, and the genetics and whatnot, and all this shit. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's watch this video real fast. What's your type? Here, let me turn that song off. I'm not too fond of that. Look at that. Men don't look like this. This could be a top 1% man, right here. And even then, most women might even reject him because they gave him the ick or something. He has some weird, strange personality trait. You know what I mean? But like I said, look at the face, like the body fat percentage that's required to get that sort of to show your cheekbones like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be gay here. You can call me gay, whatever. But like I said, the hair this guy has, and his lip shape, and his jawline, and probably, I'm guessing blue eyes here, maybe T50s. I don't know. 1, 2. Like I said, same thing here again. Like I said, men aren't like this. Literal Aryan over here, brunette, light, dirty blonde, blue eyes, good facial. Men don't look like this. 3. Look at this. 4, 5. Same thing. Same concept too, with the hair over the forehead and jawline, whatever you want to say. Men don't look like this. Oh, it's casual fucking just threw in a famous person, a goddamn famous soccer player. Like we wouldn't fucking notice. Like, oh yeah, just be a soccer player, bro. Let's see right here. Yep. 10. Men don't look like that. Look at this dude right here. This is fucking swole as shit, man. You think regular dudes just have these capped deltoids in this in a genetically gifted midsection? Nobody. Come on. British men edition. Yeah, just be British, man. Men don't look like I said. I'm pretty sure. Actually, the statistic that having visible abs year round is actually harder than being a millionaire. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. So you see men like this. Physically competent. Well, not physically competent, not physically potent because it's a skinny, frail guy, but this physically, I don't know, physically attractive, whatever. I'm not trying to be fucking gay here, okay? But like I said, I know this could be oversimplified, taken out of context. People think I spend my days talking about damn fucking dudes all day. But it's the same concept. There's fucking narrow shoulders, just silly individuals. In this account in particular, 300,000 followers, okay? And these videos are getting upwards of 2 million views, 3 million views, 2.5 million views, 1 million views, 300,000, 200,000, 1.2 million, 3 million. I mean, this is insane. So this is not some obscure niche group of people on the internet. This is the masses. This is the herd. This is everyone. This is your average fucking girl at school who's coming home after her compulsory school and doing her homework, and this is her paradigm. It's just this is your 8-year-old niece or nephew or cousin who's spending 5 hours a day scrolling through YouTube Shorts or TikTok or whatever the hell. This got to stop, man. Like I said, something's got to be done about this, because it's not long term. It won't work long term. And the thing is, it won't work for women because women spend their 20s sleeping around with these dudes, and then like I said, long term, 10 years later, this dude, he looks ugly as shit now. He lost his hair, and his testosterone starts naturally going down as he ages. So maintaining that body fat year round is getting harder and harder with every passing year, right? And he's no longer attractive, and they want to go to the dude who's been, on self-improvement since 18 years old, and he's now this successful individual, but she already has a body count of 10, 20, 30, maybe more, and she's 30 years old, and she's fucking pretty much infertile at this point. You just gotta, like I said, man, something's gotta be done about this. I'm not, in no way, don't take this the wrong way, I'm not saying it's over. I'm not saying upon hearing these transgressions you need to sink into the numbness of pleasure and be a fat fuck and just say it's over and give up, but something just needs to be done about this. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me talk. New videos will be coming soon, I hope. And I'll see you guys next time I post a video.